All right, so we're still in the thick of it, talking about systems leadership for small teams, and part of this journey is figuring out how do you build, expand capacity, particularly if you don't have the budget or if you don't have the resources to make that a reality for your organization, and you don't have the ability to add teams. So, what are the things you want to consider doing is expanding your exposure so that you can speak more and have greater influence. And you got to get out there, have conversations, let people hear your voice. Because as we talked about in segment one here, having partners and subcontractors be a part of part of your portfolio and part of your delivery mechanism empowers you and enables you to do more. And typically, if you structure it right, it's not a new cost that you incur, but it's a cost of adding new business that still doesn't take away from your bottom line. So let's talk a little bit about the power of public speaking and influence. If you are looking to build a network and build relationships that are going to lead to sustainability, capacity expansion, systems development. Consider speaking in community forums, classrooms, neighborhood meetings, etc. Also consider speaking where groups of like-minded, like operationally functional businesses are meeting and present their talk there. So if you're in a particular business segment where everybody is in construction, everybody's in manufacturing, everybody is in retail sales, everybody is in wholesaling or whatever the case may be. Are you part of any of those subgroups within your business industry that meets up, that has happy hours, that meets over Zoom, that does lunch and learns, that does all types of meetups? Are you attending those, number one, to improve your business and to learn from others? And then secondly, when you're in those sessions, are you presenting? Is there a platform for anyone to present on a topic? And if so, are you raising your hand to say, hey, I would love to present and talk and not only share what I know, but also share an opportunity for people to connect with me and to do business with me. If you're in a nonprofit space, those opportunities exist as well for you to raise your hand and to present. To be a visible person, a loud voice on behalf of the customers that you likely share in common with some of your colleagues, but also allow voice for solutions that your colleagues can start to think about implementing. If you have a fear of people taking what you are talking about and implement it in your business because they're going to quote steal what you have, I want to challenge you to work through that because a lot of folks, you might be surprised, have similar ideas that you have, but sometimes don't know how to implement it, don't know if it's best practice, don't know the first way to go, or they've probably been doing it and they haven't said anything just like you. And so don't worry about people stealing ideas. In fact, the more you're able to give away for free, the more you're able to share and educate and share resources with your community, the more you will build trust in your community where people will look at you as a trusted resource, an advisor, someone that is a friend, a colleague, someone that isn't stingy, a person that is freely giving of information is viewed as a contributor, a value add to the community. And trust me when I tell you, the more you give away, the more you actually are learning, because the people who learn the most are the teachers, and the teachers that teach are also not only releasing information, they're creating space for new information, they're creating space for discovery and innovation. I want to challenge you. Share more, not just for the sake of public speaking, gaining influence, building teams, building networks, building relationships, but speak more, share more, so you can build more capacity within your reservoir to learn and to innovate in your business. Similarly, as a thought, don't view influence in public speaking as a connection to spotlight. I think it naturally comes, but if you're in pursuit of that, I think it takes away from the spirit of what I'm sharing. But think about public speaking. Think about influence as a way to move people towards alignment that is in pursuit of something that matters. And again, I'm all about customers. I'm all about serving our customers well, meeting their needs, creating retention between you and your customer, or some may call it stickiness between you and your customer, so that they view you as the solution, the connection point, the rationale behind staying connected to what you have to offer to achieve the goals that they are in pursuit of. it is important to acknowledge that great leaders know how to communicate. They're not in pursuit of this perfectionist approach or this polished presentation of self in a communicating environment, a communicative environment such as a keynote, etc. But it's about just ongoing, consistent, clear messaging about a thought that is constantly funneling from this wide lens to a very tight perspective that everybody who's listening can agree to and say, yeah, you're talking about it right. You're hitting the right notes. Yes, I can dig it. I see it. I agree with you. I didn't think about it that way. And the whole idea of this is to leverage your talks and what you have to share as a form of deep work. We covered this in I think segment two, right? Yeah, segment two. Deep work. And deep work is leaning more into what you know and how you can do it better, how you can do it more creatively, more effectively, more efficiently, with the inclusion of other technologies, systems, ideas, philosophies, best practices to infuse into what you're doing. This is so critical, right? This is so important as we think about the power of creating influence, the power of leading when we have small teams and no teams, and to do it in a systematic way. A couple more thoughts here. Some of you should be more thoughtful about how much of your story you're sharing in your talk. I think some of us don't share enough of our story in our talks. Some of us are shy or bashful, insecure about our story. Some of us don't want us to be the focal point. But what connects people to your talk and what you're presenting are the stories you share, because the stories do a much better job articulating the thought you're communicating, and stories allow people to find their connection point, their on ramp to what you're selling, what you're pitching, what you're articulating. People may hear your story and may connect with one particular point of your story and say, oh, I remember that feeling. I remember that thought. I remember when I went through something similar. And what seemed to be an unrelated, unnecessary talk from you now becomes a talk that people start to latch onto. What seems to be complicated about your talk now is simple because the story connects to them. It's not about drawing people in, because that can give the impression of how to draw people in, but there's a formula to it. Rather, the story is the selling point. The story is the on ramp, and there's multiple stories connected to this. Throughout this particular conversation, I've told several stories. I gave several scenarios that hopefully connects you to what I'm selling, what I'm teaching, what I'm preaching here, what I'm offering in this video series, and it's designed to have you find your on ramp, your connection point to the overall concept of systems leadership for if you have a small team, and how do you strategically navigate from your current state of feeling overwhelmed and your fear and insecurities to leading with confidence and building your leadership chops. So embrace your story, your stories, embrace the scenarios that stood out in your mind that were transformative for you, were likely transformative for someone else who is going through something similar to what you have gone through, or who has gone through something but may not have had the outcome that you've had, who's gone through something similar but may not have had the outcome that you had. They took a different path and they're looking to get back on track. Your story is a key. Now, I'm going to close this by just reminding you that every moment to speak in public, and public is a broad statement, but public as defined in this conversation, with others who are knowledgeable and share interests that you share, community groups, affinity groups, industry groups, etc. Speaking in those public forums is a chance to influence hearts and minds. And that is such a powerful path to be on, particularly if you're looking to build capacity outside of your organization that ultimately benefits your organization. It's a hearts and minds campaign. It's a campaign to bridge gaps. It's a campaign to create connections and relationships that currently don't exist, or have not been developed or that are underdeveloped or that have been framed. Use this opportunity to systematically build a connection with the hearts and minds of your audience. Do it often, do it consistently. Measure yourself. Be purposeful, be intentional about what you're communicating. And the consistency with which you're doing this over and over and over again. Some groups will have similar faces and people will start to find their connection to you. Some will connect with you off the bat where I like this guy. I like her. I like him. I like what they are doing. I like what they're about. I want to have a coffee with them to learn more. And then for those of you who are shy about this, for those of you who are unsure about this, for those of you who struggle with this, the practice of this activity allows you to get better and better at public communication, which has a direct influence and direct impact on your ability to lead. So embrace public speaking, view it as a mechanism to influence, and watch how the connection with others begins to strengthen.